All right, here we go. We have C-Gutta. Welcome to VladTV.
All right, yeah, what's good?
Appreciate you joining us, man. I've heard a lot about you over the years, and especially with your close friendship with Notorious B.I.G. and the rest of the crew. So I'm definitely honored to actually have you come in and speak to us today.
All right, yeah, all right.
Well, let's go ahead and start on the very beginning. So where exactly did you grow up? Because it seems like you moved around a bit as a kid.
Yeah, I was born in New York, moved to Mississippi, and I came back to New York when I was 15. I came back in '84.
Okay, so that was a pretty big culture shock. What was it like moving to Mississippi?
I was real little, so you know, it wasn't much of a culture shock to me, because I didn't turn 5 yet when I moved down there, so it was. I mean, it was different, but I was too young to really like. It was easy. It was an easier transition for me as opposed to like my oldest sister, who was 12 when we moved down. So
Right, and you had 3 older sisters, right?
yeah,
Okay. And you mentioned one of your interviews that, your dad wasn't really around, but that was really the reason why you got into the streets and so forth.
nah. My pops was a jazz musician. He was with a band called Sun Ra. So
Oh, Sun Ra. Okay, yeah, I remember that group. Yeah, I used to see their vinyl back in the day.
yeah, so he wasn't there physically all the time, but he was a good influence. But I mean, my mom's and my dad was like great influences, but I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. That's why I ended up doing all the dumb shit I did.
Okay, so then in 1986, you moved back to New York?
Nah, '84 actually.
84. Okay. So you moved back to New York in 84, and I guess they were calling you Mississippi.
Yeah,
in
facts.
Brooklyn.
Facts. When I was cause my first school, the only school I went to when I came back, I went to Prospect Heights. And that's what all the dudes called me. Like I used to say, yo, I'm from New York. But they was like, where you come from? I'm like, I just moved back from Mississippi. So that was my name, Mississippi. So,
Okay, so now you're back in New York, and you're getting, reacquainted, and you actually have cousins in New York, and some of those guys are affiliated with Big, like Capone, Bugsy, all those guys, right?
oh yeah, Nee and all them. But they not my actual, blood cousins, but, that's how we all did it. You know what I mean? Like Nino, Bugsy, all of them are actually family. They are actually family, but me and Nee got the same last name, Jackson. So that was an easy thing. You know what I mean? That's the same thing with me and Big. Like being that I just came up, nobody really knew me. Once I did a few things, took up for him, he said, yo, I'm his cousin. So that's how that went.
Right. I remember I was talking to Sean Prez before the interview, and he said that Big would introduce you as his cousin to everyone else.
Yeah, facts.
Okay. So how did you actually meet Biggie?
Shit. Actually in a laundromat that we used to play video games in. Like it used to be the laundromat, like in New York, you might have a laundromat and they might have a few video games in there. And that's where a lot of the young kids would go hang out to play the video games outside of a game room. It's like back in the days, game rooms was rough. Like if you go in the game room, you might get robbed. So
okay, and you're actually 3 years older than Big.
yeah.
But when you met, he was actually physically bigger than you.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, that's a fact. Big was bigger than me. I actually thought Big was older than he was.
Right, because I guess Was he about 14 when you guys met?
When we met, yeah, he was 14. He had just started high school.
Okay, he's 14, you're 17. You guys start kind of forming this friendship. And is he already rapping at this point?
Yeah, he was CWest then. He was CWest.
Quest with a CWest.
I don't remember what the EST mean, but the CW was Chris Wallace, of course. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember what the EST mean.
Okay, so he's rapping, but he's not really taking it seriously. He's just kind of rapping in the street and, you know, around town and so forth, right? At that time is what I'm saying.
No, he, like, when he was younger, at that time, he was more serious in, you know, being a rapper. You know, he was trying to go to the studio and all of that. Actually, he was going to the studio. He was getting a little time and stuff like that. And it was more once like he started getting more into the streets is when it was, then he took it as strictly as a hobby. You know what I'm saying? Because we would see dudes and he'd be like, man, don't tell me about that shit. Like, if I ain't getting on, I don't wear that shit. You know what I mean? So it was a situation where once he started hustling, it was about the hustle. We loved the rapping and all that, but, you know, once he started hustling, it was all about the hustle.